Alrighty, let's go ahead and kick on off. Before we do get started, I have a quick video that I want to share for everyone, and we'll get started in 9 seconds.
I've said this before, AI is one of the most profound things we are working on as humanity. It's more profound than fire or electricity or any of the other bigger things we have worked on.
But the thing that I perhaps want to talk most about today is data. The core currency of any business going forward is their data. You want to be able to find out what just happened, why it happened. You want to be able to predict things that may happen. And you want to get to automatically doing things because of your predictions.
And so when I think about the future of data visualization and how we chart a path forward, one consideration to think about is how do we move from tools that work well from designers to tools that really enable analysis and decision makers to advance their causes, to enable better decision making across industry and government, for example.
Feels like we're all suffering from information overload or data glut. And the good news is there might be an easy solution to that, and that's using our eyes more. So visualizing information so that we can see the patterns and connections that matter, and then designing that information so it makes more sense, or it tells a story, or allows us to focus only on the information that's important. Failing that, visualized information can just look really cool. So let's see.
Alrighty, and good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our first ever webinar on AI, data, and data visualization. I first just want to say, wow, what a strong message we just heard from different industry leaders about the profound impact of data on us as an individual, employee, and a business leader. I'd like to take a moment to just recap some of the key points we just heard in that video. Firstly, we heard a bold statement from the CEO of Google, who claimed, and I quote, AI is the most profound technology ever invented, more profound than fire or electricity. In a few moments, we will dive deeper into AI and how you can harness its full potential through data visualization. You'll also hear from one of our speakers today, Stephen Turner, on how you can safeguard yourself during this AI revolution. We also heard from Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella, who emphasized that the core currency of any business is their data. Consider all the data collected as you go about your day, from swiping a credit card to ordering a meal on DoorDash, or even simply sending an email. Most of this information is being captured already, so how can businesses take advantage of their data and simplify it enough not only to understand it, but to make informed decisions from it? The simple answer, and as we heard from Professor Jeffrey Hare from the University of Washington, is data visualizations. I'd like to start this conversation today by discussing AI and sharing some examples of how we are using data visualization tools like Power BI to help different CIOs and companies gauge if they're obtaining the most ROI from their data investments. While our main focus today is on data and data visualizations, we can't ignore the fact that tools like ChatGPT, Copilot, and more are taking the industry by storm. So we'll only take a few minutes to explore how these tools correlate to data and data visualizations. As we do get started, it's important to understand exactly what is AI. And AI is just short for artificial intelligence. It's like having a computer that can think and learn much as humans do. It can solve problems, make decisions, and learn from its experiences. And in a couple moments, you'll hear from Steve on how you can actually set up AI internally and not have to use open source applications to make your data protected using AI. But AI generates data by constantly learning and interacting with its environment. It observes patterns, processes tons of information, and adapts its behavior based on all of that data. Think about Netflix recommending movies to you that you might like based on your watching history. AI is gathering data to make those suggestions. When you talk to Siri or Alexa, they use your voice data to respond intelligently and get a better understanding of what you're working with, or even self-driving cars for that fact. All of this is collecting data from their sensors and navigating safely on the road. These AI systems produce mass amounts of data, which can be a bit overwhelming. We need to keep an eye on things like data quality, privacy, and security to figure out if your AI solution is working best. We've got tools like Power BI that can give us this information in the form of visualizations. They are like your data detective, turning all of that information into clear visuals so that you can spot trends and make smart decisions. We'll dive deeper into data and data visualizations in just a minute, but just keep in mind that AI is a compilation of data that is always expanding through machine learning. So how do you tell if it's accurate or working, or even if you're overpaying for it? And the simple answer to this is using data visualizations. I want to tell you a story about a customer that we worked with recently. We were asked to build a dashboard for a CIO of a large drug development company to see if they were overpaying for their AI solutions that were hosted by Microsoft. This company used AI to test different sequences in their drug development to come up with new variations quicker. We were able to connect to Microsoft's backend database, pull the information for cost and consumption, and see if they were overpaying. And we actually were able to determine that they're overpaying by $200,000 a month. That's a lot of money. And what happens is there's two models that you can use when it comes to leveraging some AI solutions by different companies. In just a moment, Steve's going to talk about LLMs. But when you are using AI solutions from organizations like Microsoft, you can either have dedicated services or as a pay-as-you-go model. The company in this particular scenario was overpaying by using the monthly services. We provided them simplified data visualizations. It showed how often they were using the data, which allowed them to decide to leave their servers running for less time. It only cost them $2,000 to create this dashboard, and it saved them over $200,000 in the long run. So Steve, I want to turn it over to you just for a second to talk about these different internal models of AI and why it's important to safeguard yourself from using different open AI tools. And you're on mute, Steve.
Thank you, Tim. I know we've all seen in the news what's going on with AI, and want to be clear. First of all, it's called generative AI. It's not true artificial intelligence or general intelligence. Is not to be confused with the intelligence, if you will, that you're seeing in ChatGPT or Google Bard or the other tools that are out there. So they're designed to help you extract information quicker and put information together in new ways based upon a database of previous responses. And really, at the ultimate sense, it's a next word predictor. And as Tim said, it can do some amazing things. But the caveat is you have to be careful about what's generated and fully vet those responses. We are in the process right now at Turner Time of building turnertime.ai. It's not complete yet because one of the concerns in those general vehicles that Tim is talking about, like ChatGPT, where you pay a monthly subscription, you're then sharing your personal business data of your organization potentially with ChatGPT or Google Bard or whatever tool you're using. And we would be extremely cautious to doing that. So that would be using a outside LLM or large language model like ChatGPT from OpenAI. And if you're using that model, instead of having your own data in your own servers, then you're sharing your data with them and you're making your results sort of diluted by what's available on the primary training vehicle for OpenAI, which of course is the internet. They took 500 billion bits of data to create the initial large language model. And that large language model, by the way, costs $700,000 a month to run. Quite a sum of money just for the power needed to run that model. The point is a more prudent approach, and Tim and I and the team would be happy to discuss with you, developing your own LLM internally where you're not sharing data with a public engine like ChatGPT or Google Bard, but rather building that in-house using the algorithms and methods that'll give you stellar results without having your data exposed potentially in the outside world. Tim, back to you.
Beautiful, Steve. And thank you for sharing that. And I know this webinar today is focused on data and data viz, and you're going to see in a little bit some great examples. but it's really important to understand that at its core, AI is simply data, and business leaders need to be able to take advantage of that. So I want to move on to our next point, and I want to talk a little bit about data. We talked about AI, we're going to talk about data, and next we'll talk about data visualization. But I want you to think about data as the lifeblood of modern business. It's what keeps them going. And it's the thing that all of us understand that it's around us. It impacts us how we make our decisions. Even if you're not aware of it, data plays a part in your life too. Companies use data to get to know you better. Like Amazon suggests products that you might like based on your past choices. Data helps businesses run more smoothly, from managing their resources effectively to cutting down on waste. Data can even help predict things like which movies will be popular or even how the stock market might behave. Companies that use data smartly gain an edge over their competitors. It's astonishing to me that only 2% of data today is analyzed and used. Think of all the information that is out there that your business could use that others are not. By using data, business can find ways to save money and operate more efficiently. That's super important in today's competitive world, as data helps businesses find new opportunities and innovate. Take Uber, for example. They changed the way they get around by using data about rides and drivers. You might think data is something for big competitors or big corporations, but it's actually for all of us. It affects our lives daily. It affects our credit score, what you see on social media, and even your healthcare is influenced by data. Understanding how data works can help you make decisions in your life. Your phone tracks your screen time to help you manage your digital life. Social media shows you posts that you're likely interested in, and your GPS guides you through traffic with data. Healthcare providers use data to give you better treatments and even predict health issues. So remember, data isn't just for experts. It's a tool for all of us. It's there to help us make decisions and lead more efficient lives. The one hardest thing is interpreting data and making sure it makes sense. Have you ever heard the term data scientist? These are the individuals who make the data make sense. They make it come to life, they validate it, and they help extract valuable insights that businesses and individuals make informed decisions on. But data and data visualization go hand in hand, like a double-edged sword, so to say. Data scientists mold the data and shape it, but it can be challenging for non-data experts to interpret it, which leads us to our conversation on data visualization. That's where data visualization steps in, transforming complex information into clear and accessible visuals that anyone can understand, making data truly come to life. I know when I'm looking at an Excel sheet with 5,000 rows and 50 columns, I have no clue what it means. Now imagine 100 times that size. By using data visualization, you can make it easy to interpret. We as humans process visuals 60,000 times faster than looking at this raw information in the form of spreadsheets. You will see by using data visualizations, you are not only saving time, but you have a competitive advantage in your industry by being able to make decisions faster, understanding your market share, saving time and money, and then you're able to invest those resources back into your business or your departments to drive more revenue. You see, in the past, only large companies could get this information. They would invest millions of dollars into teams of analysts who would review information on Excel or servers and then provide that information back to the C-suite. Now, for the first time ever, anyone can profit from data and data visualization. Smaller companies can invest at a low cost, and larger companies can save money by using it more properly and streamlining their processes. So let's go ahead and take some time to meet the speakers. We have 3 speakers today. You already heard from one. My name is Timothy Blake. We have Shannon Lynch on the call and Stephen Turner. And each one of these individuals is a leader in their respective industry. As it goes for myself, I'm the CEO of BBB Techs. We're a data-driven company and a Microsoft partner. I began my career as a subject matter expert for Microsoft 365. I've conducted training sessions globally, including some Fortune 100 companies, ensuring that they're getting the most out of their technology. I recognize the immense potential of Power BI and how it revolutionizes data analysis and visualization. I pivoted myself from providing just training to now sharing innovative solutions and top-notch support for Power BI and data insights. Now let's go ahead and take a second to hear from Shannon. Shannon, why don't you take a few moments to introduce yourself?
Thanks, Tim. Hi, everyone. My name is Shannon Lynch, and I am the Senior Power BI Engineer and Trainer here at BBB Techs. I am a certified Microsoft Power BI Analyst and Trainer. I have over 10 years of experience building reports and dashboards and thousands of hours training individuals and companies worldwide. But really at the heart of it, I'm very passionate about helping organizations, whether it's upskilling their staff or helping them to fire up a new reporting suite within Power BI so that they can gain that competitive advantage and glean some really valuable insights from those ones and zeros that they currently have. So that's a bit about me. I'm looking forward to walking you through the magic box, which is Power BI, shortly.
Thank you, Shannon. Now let's hear a little bit from Steve, the CEO of Turner Time Management, who I'm proud to say is a longtime friend and my business partner.
Thanks, Tim. And as we were mentioning at the outset, there's many things that can impact your performance as a company, as an individual. AI is one of those, and Power BI, really excited that Tim and I and Shannon have worked on several projects together with other major customers like Custom Culinary. And what we've been able to do is provide custom solutions and information based upon the company's specific needs. So customized, not just merely how things work, but how to make them work best for your organization. And so that's what Turner Time is all about, is using the technology. We have a couple of my clients on the phone right now, including Gary Kaplan, and the work we've done in the insurance and construction industries through the help of people like Gary Kaplan is amazing. And we look forward to continuing to do it. We do have a whole range of service of training and coaching how to use Microsoft or Google products more effectively and efficiently, because who's ever had training on any of those? So that's our focus.
Thank you, Steve. And I look forward to hearing a little bit more about that when we get to your About You section and what Turner Time has done and how you have driven those solutions even further. I want to take a couple seconds to talk about each of our companies, how we work together, what we offer, and how we started, and why this came to fruition and what vision we saw. So let's first go ahead and talk about BBB Techs. Now, BBB Techs is, again, a data-driven company. We started off with very strong training roots, and then we moved more into development around Power BI, Power Apps, and Power Platform. This suite that Microsoft has put together when it comes to Power Platform, it really allows companies to automate their workflow, get visualizations, and save time and money. Because our company started off as a training company, we decided that every single project we do, we ensure that training is done. Now, that training can be either handled by Steve, some of our Power BI trainers, but we do believe that partnering with a candidate like Steve and Turner Time enhances our offering when it comes to Power BI, because not only do we help you build your products, we make sure that you get the most out of it through training. Another strong pillar of our company is that we've been providing data services, and we have solutions and individuals, like Shannon had said, 15 years. Some of our other data engineers started off in SQL. My wife herself is actually a data scientist. So this is the industry that we're in. We love data and we love helping you get the most out of it. And then finally, in the past year alone, we've built over 50 dashboards with customized pipelines. Shannon's going to talk about customized pipelines in a little bit and how we can extract that data from unique places. But I want to give Steve a couple moments to talk about his business, what he's done, and how he's really killed it within the training industry.
Thanks, Tim. I won't take a lot of time because I'm really excited that Shannon's going to present some of these customized dashboards and solutions. It's pretty amazing what's possible in Power BI, so we'll make that the main focus. But in brief, just to say that in training organizations, both large and small, over the past 17 years, we found a great opportunity to help people learn what's available in the tools that they already have that they're not using. So when you take advantage of a tool like Microsoft Outlook, for instance, and all the different features that are available, there literally is an hour or two a day that you can save in by being more efficient and managing your tasks more efficiently and really alleviating stress. One of the big things we tell people to do is don't open to your email, but rather leverage technology to open to your calendar first. You can actually change that in Outlook so that your Outlook opens not to your email where you get bogged down, but opens to your calendar. You see what's on the schedule. Obviously, everybody did that today because you're here, so we're thankful for that. But the point is, you're looking at your calendar first, setting Outlook and these other tools so they maximize your productivity. We're experts of that. We know that the strategies, the tips, and quote, the cheats to make you and your company more efficient. And Gary Kaplan could actually talk to about that himself, because we've worked with his company XXL for quite a few years. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, Steve, for sharing that. Now let's hear a testimonial from one of our clients before Shannon shares about how we were able to benefit and help them grow as a company using data-driven solutions. One company that we worked with by the name of Wiggs, Hahn and Bowen approached us to help them save time and save money by streamlining some of their processes that they were doing in Excel. This company was tracking a lot of information from their sales data and their sales team information, which they then moved to Rep Fabric, which allowed them to plug that information into Power BI to get a better snapshot of what's going on. Now, that's not only what happened. This company was also analyzing data for hot water heater sales in their industry. Manufacturers would provide this representative information. They would analyze it in Excel, create formulas, plug that information in, upload it, and that took them hours every single week. We automated that process in Power BI by pulling that information into a dashboard, taking information from live companies that are out there and published publicly, pumping that into that dashboard and creating visualizations so they understood their market share. This CEO, or excuse me, this president no longer had to go into an Excel sheet. He pulled up his dashboard, whether it was on his phone or whether it was on his computer, saw all this information live and in real time, and was able to say, this is our market share. This is how many hot waters we are selling. This is the information our manufacturer is providing us. And these are the next steps we're going to take as a business. And he actually ended up saving over 1,000 hours already by having to reduce those manual efforts, and over 150 months that has been saved by not having to go into those Excel sheets, having his finance team dive in, his sales team input that data, and getting the most out of that information. And Shannon is going to share that example in real time later, so I don't want to steal his thunder, but think about the potential in cost savings. This is a 20-person company, and they're saving tens of thousands of dollars for a $4,000 investment. That is amazing. So as we dive in, I'm going to talk about data sources before I pass it to you, Shannon. Information is everywhere. Like I said, this past company with our case study was using Rep Fabric. That's a CRM that is great within the manufacturer's and representative space. You can have data in the form of servers. If you ever heard of SQL, you can have data that's provided to you by different CRMs like HubSpot or Microsoft or email, Exchange. There's data sets, databases. Shannon loves this stuff, so he's going to talk all about that. What happens is you get this data, you pump it into Power BI. Sometimes it's not that easy to get, so we go out and get it for you. Once we pump it into Power BI, then you can view it on your phone, your tablet, your computer while you're on the go, and it updates instantly. And that's the beauty of this product. You know everything as you're going. I had one CEO tell me, a customer of Steve's that he introduced us to, that he was at a conference in Las Vegas, and he was looking at his sales team performing different calls while he was at that, and he was super happy to see he was making sales without having to reach out to anybody. So that's really cool. Alrighty. So Shannon, I'm going to throw it over to you. Go ahead and take it away, talk about some data, and then we'll jump into our live demo here in just a couple minutes.
Thanks, Tim. So I'm not going to go through this in full detail. I think we've covered essentially what data is, right? And I think Stephen alluded to something really important, that data really is the new currency. It's the coin of the realm, so to speak. And it's very important to not only understand where your data is, where it resides, and what you can do with it, but how can you allow this data to tell a compelling story? So without understanding those ones and zeros that's in the back end, it makes it very difficult for you through that sea of data to organize, analyze, and to present it in a meaningful way that you can use it to eventually make decisions, right? So when we talk about data sources, as Tim mentioned, it's everywhere, right? This can reside whether on a server somewhere, maybe it's even in the traditional Excel spreadsheets, right? So the modern workspace is still leveraging Excel as a main source for where data is stored. no matter where it is, essentially Power BI can connect to your data. And you think about these connectors, there's over 138 connectors natively within Power BI, and that grows month over month as the product is being updated, more connectors are being added, all right? So think of these data sources or these multiple different data sources as bridges to your business information that we can use to harmonize as a cohesive report that tells sort of a compelling story. So no longer just having it siloed, but having it sort of unified in one place. And this is where Power BI comes in. Go to the next slide. So as working with data, you may be familiar with sort of the cleanliness of your data. Again, if you're working with multiple teams or multiple industries, maybe external data that's coming in from various or variety of different streams, part of it is to ensure that you have data that is clean, consistent. If not, as the old saying goes, garbage in, garbage out. And so Power BI does have the capability with its backend engine, which is called Power Query, which helps you to transform your data so that you can model that data and then you can present that data in a meaningful way to gain and have confidence, as a matter of fact, right? The worst thing to have is a report that is not accurate or a report that is not trustworthy because it's not accurate, right? So as a part of the process flow within Power BI is being able to shape that data so that it is not only consistent, but it's accurate. Okay, next slide. All right, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this here, but again, there's a ton of different visual aids and visualization components within Power BI. So a lot of your traditional charts, such as your line charts, your bar graphs, your gauges. But on top of that as well, if the sort of out-of-the-box solution isn't enough, there is a store, an app store within the Power BI space, a market space where you can go and get custom visualizations. So for example, if you're working in the stock or in the financial sector and you need to do a box and whiskers, and that's not a native app, you actually can get those visuals from the store. And these visuals are certified through Microsoft. And again, these are built by third parties that give you a lot more flexibility so that you are able to really present your data in a facet of different ways for you to, again, glean insight. So again, that's the visualization and the capability to get custom visuals. Visualization is important, and we're going to pivot over to the demo here. But when we talk about visualization, it's not just charts on a canvas. Really, it's a story, right? It's important that your data tells a compelling story. Whether it's letting you know how are you comparing or how is your performance, for example, for sales, how are you performing year over year? Where are some areas where maybe you have backlog? Maybe it's inventory that you need to keep a tabs on to see how your inventory turns are performing. And being able to choose the right means to convey that information is equally as important as getting the data in a consistent fashion. And so we're going to dive into a live demo now, just showing how we can transform the raw material of the ones and zeros, that's your data, into a really meaningful and insightful report that you can use to share across your organizations with your teams to help them to make decisions a lot more efficiently and also a lot more confidently. So here we go. I'm going to just share my screen real quick. And while I do this, I'm a guy, I do a lot of training, so I like to interact. So in the chat, if you can let me know, if I were to ask you right now, maybe can you provide in your current state information about maybe your sales or whatever industry you are on? How quickly would you be able to get that information? So if I were to ask you for some of those key performance indicators in whatever industry you're working on right now, how quickly would you be able to get that information to me? Now, you don't have to give it to me, but I just want to pitch the question out there because the speed of getting insight is also important, all right? And while you're doing that, what I'll show you here, what I have up on screen, is your typical Excel worksheet. Now, a lot of you may be familiar with this. This is just your flat file here. This is an Excel file. But I just really want to drive home the fact that for this demo, it's an Excel file, but this can easily be a SQL server. It can be an analysis cube. It can be a CRM data. It can even be an API, right? We're going to see a couple examples towards the end here. But really, this is the source data. This is where it all begins. And so here's your traditional, your typical Excel worksheet. It gives you all of your columns and rows. In this particular example here, this is for a fictitious global superstore chain. They do a lot of office supplies and furniture globally. And it gives us a lot of information such as their transactions. This is coming directly from their POS system that really exports this on a nightly basis and puts it onto a folder. And we're going to take this sea of facts and figures and transform it into something more visually appealing, but something that we're able to gain insight out of relatively quickly. All right, so just a quick sample here. We have some dates, the orders. We have also some information on the reps, the categories, the region, and obviously we have our facts here, our figures, such as the sales and the profit and all that good stuff. All right, so we're going to take this raw material and transform it into something that we can use to glean insight. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of this for now. And this is the Power BI desktop. And when you launch your Power BI desktop, this is sort of the startup screen. Now, I'm not going to go through all the features. This is going to be just a demonstration on how we can transform that Excel spreadsheet into a report really quickly. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to head over to my Get Data section here. And what this will allow me to do is, as I mentioned, there's over 148 different connectors, and this is where they're all housed. So you can see right away Excel, which is still sort of the way that the modern workspace connects to majority of their data. But you're not limited. You can connect to Amazon Redshift, to the Google BigQuery environment. You can connect to the Azure infrastructure as well. So if you have an Azure SQL database or even a blob storage, so basically non-structured databases and the likes, right? So again, Salesforce, Google Analytics, and the list goes on and on. So you can see that there's quite a vast array of different options for you to choose from. So I'm going to go ahead and select my Excel workbook here. And I'm just going to simply navigate to our global superstore data set. And it's as simply as just connecting to that Excel connector. And this will bring in the table. So this is all of our data here as I showcased in Excel. And I'm going to go ahead and just click on load, and this will now load it right into the application. All right, so once it's in the application now, I have all of my fields. So to the right here, you can see I have all of my fields available. So I'm going to just start building out a very simple report using some of the information that I have available here. So the first thing I want to do is I want to take a look at my sales performance sort of year over year. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire up here a stacked column chart. And let's see here. Now, I'm going to do this by my order date. I can do it by my ship date, so I have some options, but I'm going to go with my order date to see here what the trends look like over time here. All right, so let's bring our year over here. And we're also going to put the month. I want to take a look at it month with the month and also with the year as well, respectively. All right, and I'm going to take a look. Here's my sales value. And I'm going to drop that in. All right, so right away here, I have sales for 2015 all the way to 2017. All right, but maybe I'm only interested in only getting sales for 2016 and 2017. So I can easily just add another a slicer option here. And I can just really boil that down to say, all right, I only want to see the years 2016 and 2017. And you can see right away, the other thing with Power BI is it's super responsive, right? All the visuals interact with each other, which is really great. So there I have year over year. Now, what if I actually wanted to see this comparatively? So perhaps let's say I'm going to leave the year there. Oh, nope, wrong way. All right, so now I can actually see year over year. Get my year over here. All right, there we go. So now you can see here, I can take a look comparatively, see 2016 sales by the order date in comparison to 2017. Really easy peasy. So let's go ahead and let's add another visual here. All right, I'm going to take a look at the sales by my segment. So I have 3 segments within within the organization here. So let's use the trusty donut chart here. And let's see if we can basically get some segmentations to see the split between my corporate sales, my consumer sales, and then my home office. Those are the sort of 3 segments or divisions, right? And I can actually get some insight from there. So I'm going to go down. I'm going to select my segment. And I'm going to do this by sales. All right. And right away, you can see here, I now have, I'm just going to bring this in a little bit here so we have some space. So now you can see I have the breakdown by my segments, really easy peasy. And I can just click on, as you can see, it interacts, right? It's very interactive. So if I click on, for example, the home office, I'll get that highlight up top to showcase for my home office what that trend looks like. If I were to do the same thing here for my corporate, so it's very dynamic in the way that the data is presented, and I can slice and dice it by simply clicking on any one of the elements on my report. All right. All right, let's one more thing here. We're going to leverage this really neat visual called a decomposition tree. So if you've ever been in a situation where you're trying to do some root cause analysis, perhaps you want to see, what's driving sales in a particular segment of your business, or maybe you're in the HR sector where you want to see what's causing attrition or turnovers or things along those lines. And being able to have some sort of tool or visual to showcase that in a linear fashion really helps you get to that root cause so that you can make decisions. So let's check out this visual here, which is the decomposition tree. And this is actually a smart visual. So one of 4 different type of smart visuals that leverage some native AI, and I use that word very loosely, engines within Power BI to derive really quick analytics without the need for code. So this is really a low code visual that gives you some quick insight. So I'm going to take a look here, and I want to do an analysis of my total sales. Right, I'm going to look at all of my total sales, and I want to break it down by the category. So I'm going to go over to my category section. So you can see I can explain it by my category, and I can also explain it by another layer. So I'm going to add in my subcategory. Let's grab this over here. And lastly, I want to see, okay, what's really driving it? What products are driving sales in a specific segment or region? And so I'm going to grab my product name here. I'm going to drop that in. So now here at this tool, we can actually perform a quick split to see what the linear sort of root cause looks like. So I'm going to click here on this arrow, and I'm going to say, show me all the high values, and it's going to go through the hierarchy. So here's the high values for my category, which is technology in this case. And then here I'm going to say, all right, well, keep going. Let's see within the category, in the subcategory component, what are my my high value items? What's driving a lot of those sales? And we can see right here that it seems to be the phones. But then I can say, okay, well, we know that it's the phones, but is there a particular phone model or unit that's really driving the sales? And you can see you can do high or low. There's some various options that you can use here, but this is a really powerful visual to quickly give you some insight on what's driving a particular sales, or maybe this is an inventory turn, or you can think about it in your particular context, but you can see how quickly you can get insights. And what's great is that this is not just kind of set in stone. This is very dynamic. So if I wanted to see the exact same thing, well, in my office supplies, what's really driving the sales? And you can see there that it's within my subcategory of the storage, and it's this particular product item here. And again, because it's tied into the data set, I can have this response going through the rest of my visuals here. So if I click on my binders, for example, or actually, if I click on this product here, you can see that it responds accordingly here as well. All right, so really neat way to get some root cause analysis and quickly slice and dice your data to make some quick decisions. All right, so let's do a couple of things here. Now, the benefit of Power BI is the integration of your data. So I've brought in just one table, but let's say you wanted to overlay maybe your social media or your marketing or maybe your supply chain information. There's nothing stopping you from adding more onto this base transaction layer. So you can bring in all of those different data sources and you can harmonize them together, and this will give you a more compelling story, and it'll give you more capability to really do a lot of cross analysis to see where there are relations and where there are correlations for you to even have more power to make decision. All right, so let's add here a simple slicer. Maybe we want to take a look at this at a regional level. So right now, this is just kind of an overview, but let's say I wanted to really go down and say, I want to see how this is broken down by regions. I can simply add a slicer option. And now you can see I have my regions here. Let me just change this so that it's going into a drop down. So you can see here now I can add a filter and I can slice it by my region. So I can take a look at my East region and how it's performing versus the South. And you can see that it is completely flexible and dynamic, and it responds just like that. All of my visuals update and reflect the selection here based on what I'm trying to analyze. All right, and you're not limited here. You could put as many slicers. So maybe perhaps I'll place another slicer here. I'm just going to copy this one. And I'm going to do a slicer. Maybe I want to take a look at the performance for my reps. So I'm going to just grab my reps field and boom, just drop it in. And now I have 3 slicers here, one for my region, one for my reps, and I can also manage my date range. So I can take a look and see the performance of my reps and in relation to the visuals that I have on Canvas. And so having this context-driven capability really gives you a lot of powerful means to slice and dice your report and to view your report in various ways. All right, and really the possibilities are endless. It's just left up to your creative juices and also how you want to see that data at the end of the day. All right, so let's tie a nice bow on top of this report here, and I'm just going to add just a title just to kind of put the finishing touches on. And I'm going to make this about 28 nice and big here. All right, and there you have it. We have our sales report built in just a couple of minutes that can give us really powerful insights. And again, because Power BI is integrated and it is a dynamic tool, you're able to have these interactions on your visuals. And even as you hover over, you can get contextual items here so that you can get more information on your data. Now, typically what happens from this point on is you would publish this into your Power BI service. So your Power BI desktop is where the report authoring takes place. But really, unlike Excel, where you're sharing that Excel file, you're actually publishing your report assets to the cloud, which is the Microsoft service, which is the next or the parallel tool that's used to share your report. It's a completely cloud-based service that you would need to have a license with, and there's different licensing structures through Microsoft, very inexpensive. And you're able to now share this report out throughout your organization. You can have a lot of control in terms of who gets the report and so on. So we're going to just pivot over really quickly over to the Power BI service to show you what it looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to publish this report really quickly. Just going to call it sample. We're going to publish this report, and then we're going to dive over into the Power BI service. So I'm going to publish it here on my workspace. And now this is going to publish my report. And now I'm just click on this hyperlink here. That's going to take me to my report that is now published in the Power BI service. All right. So this will now launch my report. I'm going to bring it over here. And so now my report is available to me in this web-based location, which is my service. So I can publish as many reports as I want to the service. And from here, this is where we're actually able to share our report. So for example, the easiest way to share is simply click on the share button, type in the name as you would an email to any of your recipients. It's going to be a group email as well. And from there, you hit send. and that will give them access to the report, and they will be notified with a link to this website. They will need to have a license to log in and view that report, but that is the simplest way to manage your report. There's a couple other features here I'd like to showcase, which is subscribe. So perhaps you have to have a report that's sent out maybe to your teams or maybe to the C-suite at a certain interval, maybe Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. You can actually now create a subscription, which is almost like a template, a report or an email template. And so you can specify the recipients. If you wanted to specify a start and end date, so maybe this is a defined project and you want to have weekly reports that go until maybe the end of the year, you can specify all of that here. You can specify whether or not you want this to be a weekly report. Let's say I want it to go out Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, maybe at 2 p.m. or something along those lines. And then I can just set this up. And once I save this subscription, I'm able now, Power BI will automatically send out these distributions of the report to the users that you have specified. So it's really, really neat. And there's a lot of cool features here that you can do. You can add a subject line, you can add some email body context, and you can even attach the report as a PDF as well. So just really neat features out of the box for you to not only engage your audience, but to automate a lot of the way on how the report is actually disseminated throughout the organization. So that's how you would share a report. Now I'm going to show you another report here. So this is a demonstration here of a more sort of advanced report. So we just showed you a basic report, but we can, there's no limit to what can be created. Now we use the Excel in the other example, but in this example, we're actually pulling from the RepFabric API. So the RepFabric, as Tim mentioned, is a CRM tool. So this would be an example of a more advanced connector, which is an API. So the data is refreshed on certain intervals, and this is real-time data, right? So think about the question I asked is, do you have a pulse check currently on what's going on? How quickly can you provide an answer to what's going on in your business? And I can tell you right here that at any given moment's notice, we can pull out the app on our phone and we can tell you exactly what's going on within this particular example here for sales. So we can take a look here. We have various reports. We can take a look at our sales, our main sales dashboard. We can analyze it by the manufacturer. All right, that's one way of doing it. We can pivot it by the parent customer, the child customer. So if you have hierarchies, you're able to do that as well. We have all of our slicers here, so you can slice and dice, as I demonstrated in the demo, the different type of filtering options for your report. And we have some conditional formatting and real good ways in which you can accentuate or have callouts to the body of your report. There's also a lot of neat features if I go over to this particular report here. And as you can see here, I can have all these different type of ways in which I can visualize my information. Another great feature is being able to use geographical information. So if you're working with geocodes or geographical postal codes or lat longs, you can plot this if it's a part of your data set and really augment on top of that your sales information. In this case, this is our activity journals for all of the sales reps, and you can see it's broken down here, and then it's reflected here on a map. And if I hover over the map, so we have a bit of a heat map to show the hotspots of high value sales and activity. And if I hover over, I get a contextual menu that shows me some more additional information, right? And this is all interactive and in real time, right? So really endless possibilities to what we can do here in Power BI. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. Time does not suffice me to go through the full suite of capabilities, but hopefully you can see here with this brief demo, and maybe you can see how this can be useful within your particular context, whether you're in manufacturing, supply chain, sales, marketing. It doesn't matter which domain you are in. As long as you have data, we are able to bring it into Power BI and transform that data into insightful information to help you make better decisions. All right, so I'll conclude the demo from here, and I will punt it back over to Tim.
Thank you, Shannon. You always impress me. I feel like anytime I see you jump in, I learn something new. So that was awesome. We do have some questions in the chat, which we're going to come back to in a minute. Before we wrap up, I want to take 2 more seconds of your time. I do want to offer everybody here that was on this call today, if you are looking for Power BI services or training services, whether it's in the Microsoft suite, whether it's with data. I know we focused on data today, Power BI, but if you are looking for training on Outlook, if you're looking for training on Teams, any of these Microsoft products, like we said, said, we have partnered with the greatest, Stephen Turner. He can offer you some time-saving techniques to give you more information on that. On the Power BI side of the house, if you do want more information from Power BI, we are happy to offer everyone here 10% off of your first project with us. So if you would like, take your phone out, scan that QR code. That'll bring you right to a contact us section. I'll know you contacted us because we have your email address from signing up for the webinar, and we'll set up a free half-hour discovery call with you. So again, open up your phones, take your camera out, your flip phone, your smartphone. You can try to turn your laptop camera at it. I don't think it'll work. A link will pop up on your screen. Click on that link and it'll bring you to our contact us form. Now, off the heels of what Shannon did just say, I do want to mention that one of the things that separates us is our ability to understand industries well. Stephen has been in the workforce for so long now. He understands many different industries, about insurance to manufacturing to sales. So what we do is we work with you to understand where this data is coming from. If you own it, it's a little bit easier to get it. But for example, one of our customers, and on that dashboard you just saw before Shannon stopped sharing, this customer wanted to get information from the US Census. So we actually built a pipeline to the US Census website so that data would flow constantly in the Power BI and they could see how many building permits were being given out in an area. So we don't just build these reports for you. We understand your needs, understand where data exists, and we bring it all together to present to you custom solutions. You're seeing on our screen some of our customers. We work with a wide variety of people. We're not just here to help the big guys. We love helping the small guys just as much, and we actually prefer it to a degree to make sure that you are getting the best and you are having that competitive advantage. So again, scan that QR code. You can call me anytime except for after 9 p.m. Email me, and then you can also go to our website and check out more. That's all I have to go with today. I want to go ahead and review some of those Q&A. Before I do, Steve, Shannon, any last minute comments before we jump into questions?
I would just say, Shannon, amazing job about showing some of the capabilities of Power BI. And really, if you haven't taken advantage of visualizing your data, now's a great opportunity with this special offer from Tim to get started. We've been, as Tim mentioned, helping a lot of companies jointly. And there's no power like being able to look at that data instead of reams of spreadsheets. Just look at that data visually. It's so helpful for your organization. So don't miss out.
Beautiful. Thank you, Steve. And Shannon, we had one question so far in the chat about linking Power to BI to an Excel spreadsheet. Can you kind of explain what the possibilities are around that, how you would do that, and how simply you can pull information from an existing or live Excel spreadsheet, so to say?
Yeah, sure. Great question. So yes, Excel, you can import Excel as I just demonstrated. But if you're talking about something, maybe having a workflow that's more continuous, there are options to load that Excel into maybe a SharePoint. Maybe this is a shared Excel file that's updated perhaps on a daily basis by multiple users. So you can throw it on a SharePoint site and in a SharePoint folder and have Power BI connect directly to SharePoint instead of connecting directly to that local file. So yes, you can. Now, another question here on top of that is if you are looking to refresh that. Now, if you have that file locally on your machine, you will need to republish and refresh that. And this is why I would highly advise you keep it in a stored or a shared location such as SharePoint or OneDrive, where you can set up a automatic or scheduled refresh. So there is a capability to have timed or scheduled interval refreshes within the Power BI service. And this way, you need not have to perform a manual refresh as you're making changes. It will just refresh based on the cadence that you've put in place. Hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you, Shannon. And if we have any other questions, feel free to raise your hand or come off mute, jump right into conversation. We'd love to ask or answer questions that you might have either on your industry, if it's possible. So we have 5 more minutes here today. Again, feel free to come right off mute or put your question here in the chat.
Maybe I could ask a question. Maybe I could ask a question to folks. If you could just put the chat in the chat or just go ahead and unmute yourself. What did you think? Are you surprised at what's available within your data you already have? I know you all have Excel spreadsheets. Are you amazed about how you can turn that Excel data in from simply looking at a spreadsheet into meaningful visuals that can help you and your entire organization. Anybody's comments on that? Oh, great. Gary says, great demo on building dashboards. Excellent. Thank you, Gary. Other comments. Is it surprising for you folks to see what's available? Did you realize it was as easy as it is about just hooking the spreadsheet with the right tools and the right guidance so that you can create custom dashboards? Nope, we got somebody else here. Yeah, it looks exactly. It is, Gary. It's with the right instruction, we can really help people be well versed on this. And it is, Ellen, the integration is pretty amazing what you can do. And as Tim mentioned, we've been taking data from multiple sources. That's the other thing that's so exciting, is that this doesn't have to be data internally. You can match that data up with industry data or data from certain manufacturers if you're somebody representing several. So you can bring and combine that all into a cohesive view of your entire business.
Exactly. Thank you,
Yep.
Stephen. And if
I have one question. So, if the data set having millions of records, will it the report will be having the same performance as you shown with the sample Excel sheets?
Yeah, I can take that one. So yeah, so within Power BI, there are two different type of modes. There's what's called the import mode, which is where the data is cached locally within the Power BI model. And for larger data sets, there's what's called direct query. Now, direct query is where you're actually going to that source query, typically a SQL server that has millions of rows. And the benefit with direct query is that it's not cached; it's pulling real time from off of the query connection, and so you can handle that data. Now there are some database tuning that will need to take place on the upstream side, but typically Power BI, if tuned properly, using the right visuals and best practices, you're able to have literally gigabytes of data flow through that and handled with ease.
Yeah, that's a great answer, Shannon. It's also important to mention that there's two versions of Power BI, and if you're using the Power BI desktop, you're going to encounter many limitations in terms of productivity and latency. So it's better to use the Power BI professional license. That'll also affect your results.
Understood. Thank you.
great question. Yeah, it's important. It's important to mention that this tool is meant to give you real-time data. And as Steve talked about, that Power BI Pro license is what gives you access to the web version, and that web version is what allows you to access on your phone when you're on the go. And that Rep Fabric dashboard that we showed you has millions of lines of data. It's pulling directly from a CRM. And the beauty of it is a lot of companies that you may work with already, like Salesforce, right? They provide their own reports. And if you look at Salesforce, you get what you get that they give you. The benefit of Power BI is you can take that Salesforce raw data. You can take data from your Office 365 environment. You can take data from Excel files and marry them all together to get more actionable insights. Because if you're working with just one product, that's all you're going to see. And a lot of the time, the reports that a lot of these bigger companies give you aren't as enriched as you would need to make decisions. Think about it. If Salesforce gives you a report, everybody else has that report. What difference does that make, and how does that help you lead your industry further? It'll give you some insights, but by taking that same data, marrying it to others, you're going to have more information than anybody else would.
All right, just to add just one other thing towards the capacity. So and you can check this out on Microsoft. So within the workspace, and just to kind of augment on top of what Steve had mentioned, if you're on the Pro license, there is a 10 gigabyte limitation on a Pro license, which is, I think it's about $10 a month. Then there's the premium per user or premium capacity that goes up to 100 terabytes. So you can have up to 100 terabytes of data stored within your workspace. And so the different licensing tiers will give you greater capacity. And with the onset and the new Microsoft Fabric environments, there's great compression using the new Parquet compression methodology. So not only will it be able to compress your data, but you can get a whole lot more of it. And I'll just encourage you to check out Microsoft Fabric, which is sort of the new analytics stack within Microsoft, of which now Power BI belongs to.
Thank you, Shannon. And stay tuned because Microsoft is doing some cool stuff with with Copilot. We will talk about that later. Personally, I don't think it's as where it needs to be yet. So we're holding off on doing webinars because I think Microsoft has a lot of improvement to do. Now they have hinted at making Copilot integrate with Microsoft Fabric, where you can say, build me a report on XYZ. And if the data's there, it will start to do it. I played with it a little bit and watched some videos. And again, it's just not where we think it needs to be yet. So we don't want to present solutions to our customers that we don't firmly believe are going to give you the best. So if you want to learn more, if you want training, if you want to take advantage of our free 30-minute consultation, reach out to us, scan the QR code, send me an email. You can send mail directly to me. Our addresses on the website if you want to go old school. But we do appreciate you taking the time today to join. It was a pleasure having you, and we look forward to seeing you at our webinars in the future. Thank you, folks.